What is up, everybody? Welcome on in. Special edition of Alarm Fantasy Football here with Andrew Cooper and Iggy Gilbert. What we're doing, we're hitting on every single game yesterday, and we're doing it quickly in a half hour. No time for intros, no time for any sort of yapping or business. Iggy, are you ready to get into it?
I am.
Let's go. All right, first team here, Iggy. What did you see in the Giants Commanders game?
Neighbors and Wandale Robinson had over almost 65% of the targets. Wilson was looking at their way often in their terrible passing game. And I'm beginning to doubt Dayball from a fantasy perspective and the bad offensive line. This could be bad for fantasy football outside of possibly Neighbors. Tracy looked terrible. Offensively, they're just not. I don't know. I'm really nervous. I don't think, I'm trying not to panic after just 1 week, but we got to take a look at it. And then Brian Burns could lead the league in sacks if he keeps it up.
Yeah, he looked good for sure. I mean, again, it's going to be tough to trust anybody without Andrew Thomas out there, the left tackle who is missing. Also, he didn't look good either, but I didn't like seeing Cam Scatabo out there lining up for the goal line work as a Tyrone Tracy guy. I just want to see Tracy, like, if you're a bad team and you use one back every play, it works, right? Like the Panthers last year, the Saints, those were 5-win teams, but they used one guy every down. If you get a split backfield on a bad team, nightmare situation. So I'm fully with you. What about on the Commander side of things?
Bill, our guy Bill, is far and away the lead back over there. He out-targeted Austin Eckler considerably. He still caught games in the passing yard, and he had an excellent run for a touchdown. So reassure if you took Bill and you took him late. Daniels is a true threat quarterback. He's got several playmakers around him. He was able to bail out on pass rushes. He did make a couple mistakes with the interception, but overall, he's going to be a fantastic quarterback going forward. And Deebo Samuel and offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, they could be a great pairing, actually, if they keep using him. Deebo is one of those people I always think is better for reality than in fantasy, but this may not be the case with Kingsbury. He may utilize him more like we saw kind of earlier in his career. He looked better than I anticipated.
I'll tell you, dude, Debo was a guy that I was out on in draft season and watching the game yesterday. I actually rewatched it this morning too. Kind of regretting that a little bit, dude. He looked like vintage Debo, even got the carry there, like he was looking 10 targets. He was looking spry. So maybe all the body shaming, he didn't deserve it. He looked good out there, man. So, and yeah, Bill definitely got once Chris Rodriguez was healthy and active, I went into my rankings. I just moved Bill back up. You know what I mean? It's like, because I know that they like mixing guys in on pass downs, but didn't really care about that. So I'm feeling good about that. In the Panthers Jaguars game, I watched this one again this morning just to make sure everything looked the way I thought it did, and it did. Ted McMillan looked great. He's definitely a guy that for me is going to be in my lineups all over the place. Xavier Legette and Hunter Renfrow. Legette was clearly the second guy. Renfrow, it's kind of crazy with some of these teams where it's like you can release a guy and then bring him back and be like, hey, I know, no hard feelings, right? Like, I know we picked Jalen Coker over you, but he's gone. So now you got to come back and try and be who you were supposed to be. And Hunter Renfrow did look okay playing out of the slot. I mean, for me, I'm starting McMillan. Legette's kind of a dart throw, and I'm not really going to use much of Renfrow. I was disappointed to see Jatavian Sanders rotate with Tommy Tremble. He's really only DFS territory unless he carves out a bigger role because they do like their wide receivers over there. And then Chuba Hubbard looked awesome. Shout out Howard Bender, who has more Chuba Hubbard than anybody out there. Chuba got virtually all the work. We did see how they're going to handle things. Rico Dowdle got every third down. So what they're basically doing is they're putting Chuba out there to start, and they're going to mix in Rico Dowdle on third downs. But it's Chuba's backfield in virtually every situation, including – this is great, is that Chuba was the third down back, but when they got into a 2-minute drill, Rico was the third down back. But when they got in a 2-minute drill situation, it was Chuba. So, and the thing with 2-minute drill is that because you're not substituting guys out and you not need to know all the plays, and you know all the schemes, you get all of those snaps and you can get a lot of targets in rapid succession if you get that role. So I'll be updating the RB questionnaire. I already updated that portion of it. We're going to do the target totem pole RB questionnaire, but Ted McMillan and Chuba feeling really good. Xavier, is that a guy you would even consider starting him or Renfrow, or has it got to be deeper league?
Man, I have several best ball shares of Legette, but would he go 3 of 8, from his targets? I didn't see all that game, so I don't know if they were errant throws or just him not being like in the right spot. But
Yeah.
he's kind of a hard sit for me. I mean, granted there was the lightning delay. There's a lot going on in that game, honestly. But I expected more from the Panthers than what I'll say that way.
Yeah, I mean, I will say with Leggett, I did a study on him this offseason, and it was a little bit more of the same. He has bad mechanics at the catch point. So when you hear guys like Chris Collinsworth, who used to play wide receiver, when he talks about like AJ Brown and he goes, one thing he does really well is stay grounded. What he means is that like when he's running his route, like running a slant, he keeps in stride and he catches the ball and then he gets yak afterwards. Xavier Leggett has a really bad habit of jumping when the ball comes, even when it's like just a regular slant, like right in his hands, he'll jump a little bit. And because of that, you lose all, not only does it make it harder to catch the ball when you're adding all these different layers of movement, but like he loses all ability to run after the catch. And last year, he was outside the top 200 wide receivers in yak per reception because of that. Like he was literally getting under 2 yards after the catch, which is like, that's just catch and fall down level of ball. So I do worry about Xavier Leggett, but the usage was good. Didn't really do a whole lot with it. On the other side of the ball, good usage for Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. Definitely good to see Hunter out there for 80% of the snaps, getting those targets. And then, after them, Brenton Strange and Diami Brown each got 4 targets. I think Brenton Strange for me is a guy where wherever you have Dallas Goedert in your rankings, you can just go ahead and put Brenton Strange right there, right? Where it's like he's not a top 2 target on the team, but he's pretty clearly, in my opinion, third. He has some standalone value, but if one of the wide receivers gets hurt, now he could be awesome, right? Like last year, Dallas Goedert was fine. And then the game where A.J. Brown missed and Devonta Smith got hurt, well, he had 170 yards. So that's kind of where I live on Brenton Strange. He's probably safe, doesn't have a ton of upside unless guys get hurt. And then with the running backs, that's where it was crazy. I have a ton of Tank Bigsby. I have like 20% Tank Bigsby in best ball, 10% ETN. And ETN just ran away with the job. Looked much better with the ball in his hands, got more snaps in all phases. Even LaQuinn Allen was playing more third down. I mean, it was a very bad day for Bayshore Tootin, but also not a good day for Tank Bigsby. So
yeah, I'm with you. I've got more shares of Bigsby. So hopefully it's more improvement, but we'll see.
We'll see. ETN's a guy that I'm definitely willing to rank in like the RB2, definitely like flex range now, because like at least from this game, he got massive workload, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be moving up in all my rankings and in my DFS prices because he looks like the lead guy, and he showed that ability to bust out a big play, which is what you need.
Yeah.
In DFS.
All right, for folks just joining us, thanks for popping in. We're going through. We're hitting on every game as quick as possible. Going to try and get you guys in and out of here in 30 minutes. We're already behind schedule. We did Panthers, Jaguars. We did Giants, Commanders. Iggy, what did you see in the Cardinals Saints game?
Looking at the Cardinals, it was more of a split backfield. Connor had 43 snaps. Benson had 22. Benson ran off that big play to save his fantasy value, but it still looked like they trusted Connor more around the goal line. He did earn that touchdown, so we'll see how it all pans out for him. And then I also noticed Murray still having issues with some of his accuracy downfield. Most of his incompletions were, beyond like 10 yards or more. But he did connect with Harrison Jr., so there is reason to be optimistic there. And then McBride still is the target monster. He led in the targets. He had 50% more targets than number 2, Harrison. He had 9 to 6. So, and he just complements Murray so well and what they're running over there in Arizona. So I think those 3 alone are still the ones you're targeting. But Benson, we need to keep an eye on. We got all hyped up for him last year as a community. This year he might actually live up to the expectations with Connor, maybe trying to be preserved or, just the fact they're accepting the fact that he's aging out a little bit. Either way, Benson might actually, hit on his value that he was expected to this year.
Yeah, I'm hoping he can kind of be what Zach Charbonnet was last year. I know Charbonnet this year has kind of taken a step forward. We'll get to that, but Benson did play a little bit more. I like seeing that. And Murray did get to the second level a couple times, which is an improvement last year. He was getting the ball out of his hand. Top 3 quarterback getting the ball out of his hands in under 2 seconds. So he's still doing that to some degree, but a little bit better on that front. But McBride is still going to be awesome. What about the Saints side?
Yeah, Spencer Rattler was a little better than I anticipated. He didn't have a touchdown, but he did. He was almost had the game-winning drive. So he was able to spread the ball around too. Olave was relevant. I think that's something to keep in mind. He might be a value. He might still be trade, up for trade in certain leagues out there. So I would look at Olave if you can keep a star on him, keep an eye on him going forward. And then when Kamara's on the field, he's the best player on the field. It's just that simple. He may be heavy workload, but they didn't really give the ball to Miller as much as I thought they would. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch Kamara's usage going forward. Juwan Johnson, man, he's going to be a top 10 tight end if he keeps this volume up. He's just a complete outlet for Rattler. Rattler obviously trusts him. He's got that big radius around him whenever he can catch balls that are not necessarily thrown right at him, something we saw a problem with Joe Flacco in another game. But yeah, he had 8 receptions on 11 targets. So look for Johnson. If he's available in your league, don't hesitate to go get him.
People are talking a lot about Harold Fannin, but I have Juwan Johnson probably going to be my number 1 tight end waiver ad this week because he played 74 or 75 snaps. Yeah. 74 or 75, man. 11 targets. And again, this is a converted wide receiver, so he's not going to be on the blocking side of things. And, they paid him a lot of money this offseason. So, yeah, like Juwan Johnson, all the signs are there. It's going to be my top ad. On the Dolphins-Colts side, Dolphins looked terrible, dude. I mean, the vibes were bad around this team all offseason, and they were bad yesterday. They looked rough. From a usage standpoint, though, you can have some comfort in knowing that it was the typical guys got the work. It was Tyreek Hill, it was Jalen Waddle, it was Devon Achane. So at least you know that maybe if they right the ship and things go a little better, those are going to be the guys. Darren Waller was out, and Tanner Connor, the man with the 2 whitest names possible, he was the pass-catching tight end, but didn't really do anything with it. So it's really just, if you're going to stick with this team, it's Tyreek, it's Waddle, it's Achane. But, I mean, Tyreek was screaming on the sideline. The wheels are already falling off. So not much to say about that Dolphin side. On the Colts side, we did get some information here. We were wondering who the top targets on the team were going to be, who was going to get the routes. And just like last year, the guy that ended up being a part-time player was Josh Downs. He ran 49% he played 49% of the snaps, ran 51% of the routes. That's not going to cut it. That's not a big enough upside situation. So what you basically had is you had Michael Pittman as an every down player. He's a guy that we have in a lot of spaces. We're locked in there. Alec Pierce was the every down wide receiver on the opposite side of him, but he's kind of a field stretcher. He's not a guy that's going to go out and get like 10, 11 targets. He's more of a guy that gets like a couple deep balls a game, right? Like 4 targets like he got. Tyler Warren was the guy that stepped up in the middle of the field and got 9 targets, and he got a carry. Wheels up for Tyler Warren. He can be a top 2 target on this team now. So we're in on Pittman. We're in on Warren. Josh Downs, unfortunately, a part-time player. And last year, when Pittman was hurt for a game, Adonai Mitchell stepped in. When Alec Pierce was hurt for a game, Adonai Mitchell stepped in. So, like, Josh Downs is kind of multiple injuries away from being a full-time player. Kind of a shame because I like him. I think he's a really talented player. But, gotta love what you saw at Tyler Warren if you got him on your team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's going to be great. Not just Daniel Jones. Once again, Brian Dable, Josh Allen improves once he leaves. Daniel Jones was better before him, looking good without him. Russell Wilson looking bad with Brian Dable. So I think the Colts, I have so many shares of Pittman because of his value.
Everybody that leaves New York is good, dude. Both New York teams. If you leave the Jet, think about it. The comeback player of the years, both Joe Flacco and Geno Smith came from the Jet. So did Sam Darnold. Evan Ingram leaves. He has the second most receptions a tight end's ever had. Saquon Barkley leaves, and he's like, wins every award that you can win, right? And wins the Super Bowl. It's like, you leave New York, the Escape from New York award, man. So maybe that's what we should chase in Dynasty. Just add good players on New York teams and wait for them to leave. What do you think? What you see in the Steelers Jets?
Yeah, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, how about this? 22 of 32, 44, 4 touchdowns of 4 different wide receivers. Dare I say Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers is a match made in heaven, man. This could be very interesting going forward, and they have a great defense. I don't think that was a fluke. TJ Watt getting so much pressure. Highsmith looks like he did about 2.5 years ago. You saw what Ramsey did to close out the game. That is a high-powered defense. Do not sit on the offensive players because of the opportunity there. Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, the 2 running backs to watch. Johnson got a lot of hype and was, I drafted him in an auction draft Friday, and he went. Somebody bid Johnson up before I got Warren, and they paid more for Johnson. So Kenneth Gainwell, go take a look at him. I hyped him up so much as an Eagle, and I got kind of burnt on it. But 7 attempts, 19 yards, and it just looks like Aaron Rodgers trusts him. You had 4 targets, 3 receptions in there for some pass blocking. Rodgers does not want a rookie protecting him at age 41. So I think Gainwell could be sneaky value if you are in a deeper league. And Gainwell, he had more targets and receptions than Warren actually on third down.
We saw all offseason, oddly, they were doing this. They had Warren as the Najee Harris role, and then Kenneth Gainwell got every third down snap in the offseason, the preseason, and then it carried over. So I think what they're doing is this, Iggy. They're putting so Jalen Warren knows both roles, the pass down role and the early down role. They put him on the early down. They taught Kenneth Gainwell the pass down role. And then I imagine they taught the rookie Caleb Johnson the run down role. That way, if Tyler Warren, if Jalen Warren gets hurt, now Caleb Johnson gets the early down role, and they got Gainwell on pass downs. If Gainwell gets hurt, maybe they move Warren back into his pass down role and bring Johnson up. It's kind of a good way to teach you only teach the rookie one part of the role. That way you can ease him in. But for now, I mean, Caleb Johnson played what, 2 snaps? So he's you don't necessarily. I'm still going to hold him, obviously in Dynasty, but like still hold him. But like if he doesn't go out and play 5 snaps next week, then you don't have to hold him in redraft. I mean, like he's not involved. So yeah. What about on the Jets side?
Yeah, Fields could be a league winner, man. 12 rushes is more than Davis and Allen combined. He had 266 combined yards. He looked like the real deal out there. Garrett Wilson, heavily usage. I had doubts with that Ohio State Buckeye connection. It's, I guess, a weird fraternal love for life because he made Wilson look fantastic, better than Rodgers could. I'll say that.
I have no Wilson, and I'm regretting a little bit. They look good. Fields and Wilson look good, so props to them. Howard's got to be pleased.
He had over 300% the receptions that the rest of the team had. So that's something to keep in mind. 2 times, 3 times more, double the targets as well. Breece Hall, there was a lot of Allen hype, particularly the closer we got to the start of the season, but second in passing target, 1 less attempt than the rest of the team combined. And he had over 100. I think he had 109 rushing yards. So Breece Hall, another one that Howard Bender was all over saying he was being under draft. I took that advice a couple of times late in the draft season.
Yeah, and they tried. The thing is, they even got Braylon Allen in there. He scored the touchdown, but Breece Hall just looks so good. He looks so much better. So it's one of those situations where they kind of gave everybody a little bit of work. And had Braylon Allen looked good and Hall looked bad, maybe would have shifted the other way. But the way Breece Hall is playing, awesome. I think, hey, you know what? If they were trying to trade him, now's the time. Because like after this game, he looked great. But they should probably just hang on. One disappointment from that game, I will say, Mason Taylor didn't play, didn't see the usage we wanted him to see. I'm still waiting on some of the data. Let me actually just check real quick and see if it's in. I want to see how much pass block.
I see. Let me pull up the stats for the Jets real quick. Yeah, I do know they have a catch, right? Yeah, 1 catch, 20 yards.
So. Yeah, so he ran 22 routes of 26 and only pass blocked on 2 pass plays. So his usage out there wasn't terrible. But Jeremy Ruckert only ran 7 routes, got 3 targets. So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on Mason Taylor. He's not necessarily – we're not giving up on him because he did play 56 of 64 snaps and he ran 22 of 26 routes. So he was out there. He just was not getting targeted. So not the end of the world for Taylor. It could have been way worse. I'll tell you, this guy blocked on a ton of pass plays in college. It could have been a nightmare, but turned out okay. Speaking of nightmare, my New England Patriots lost a very winnable game against the Raiders. On the Patriots side, positives were Hunter Henry, right? Hunter Henry, Hunter Henry, though, blocked on 9 pass plays, which you don't want to say, but he played virtually the whole game, and he got a bunch of targets, 8 targets. So he's definitely a safe but boring play. Kayshon Boutte came out, and he looked good in your deeper leagues. He led the team in snaps, routes, and targets. So, if you lead the team in just one of those, then we don't necessarily care. Like if you go out and lead the team in snaps, but you get 2 targets, I don't care. If you get 8 targets, but you're only playing half the snaps, I also am skeptical of that, right? But if you're going to go out and lead the team in every category, that's something we pay attention to. So that's a potential add. I'm not giving up on Diggs. Demario Douglas was kind of a part-time guy. He did catch a touchdown, though. So this could just end up being a big mess, to be honest. Also, if you're a Travion Henderson fan, not ideal because people thought the worst-case scenario would be that Ramondre would play on early downs and Henderson would play on pass downs. Turns out that's not the worst-case scenario. Turns out the worst-case scenario is that Ramondre Stevenson played more than him in every phase. Every phase. Early downs, run downs, pass downs, all of it. And Henderson was just kind of the guy that would come in to spell him. That's not what we want to see. The good news for Henderson is that Ramondre Stevenson didn't look good. He really did not look efficient. So you can only lose so many games before they just let the young kids play. and that's one loss in the books. So we'll see where this goes. On the Raiders side, Ashton Genty, very strong usage. So you love to see that. He was the guy virtually all phases. Zamir White played a little bit. Who cares? Jacoby Myers, he played his typical role, 10 targets. You love to see that. Trey Tucker also played a ton of snaps.
Yeah.
Dante Thornton was a part-time guy because they used 2 tight end sets. So if you were really excited about Thornton, yes, he was technically a starter. Didn't play enough to be useful. Brock Bowers' usage was a little disappointing. I will say he still went out in that 100 yards because he's awesome, but I wonder if maybe he was dealing with a knee issue before this game, Iggy, because he was a part-time guy early on, and then he left the game with a knee problem. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I mean, this guy is so damn good. It almost doesn't like I'm starting him no matter what. You're starting him no matter what. But like, why wasn't he playing 90% of the snaps? It's got to be some sort of knee thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Like in a league where you can make a move at any time, I dropped Michael Meyer and picked up Hunter. I dropped Hunter Henry and picked up Michael Meyer because I saw that injury. I was like, man, they're just using these tight ends left and right. It's basically 12 or 22 personnel like all the time. And yeah, I don't know, man. We do got to monitor that. They both look amazing.
Right. On the way out of the tunnel, Bowers told reporters that he's feeling okay. So I'm not super worried about it. We'll see. But I'm wondering if this was a nagging knee injury coming in because, yeah, like he started the game not playing every snap, which don't love that. Again, he's going to be fine no matter what. But when you draft a guy in the second round, you're expecting that guy to have 100 catches, 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns. Like that's literally what it takes to be worth that ADP because in PPR, you know, some of these wide receivers are scoring 400 points. The best tight end season ever is 330. So, like, you need 300 PPR points out of a player if you're going to take him in the second round. So, I'm hoping Bowers gets healthy, gets up to speed. Titans, Broncos, Iggy, what'd you see? I know you're out there. I know you're a Packers fan out there in Broncos country, but I gave you the Broncos one because you got boots on the ground out there.
Oh, I like the Broncos. The pain of the Super 32 loss is probably just as much as my mind as the sting of 31 for you. But yeah, real quick, Ward's a rookie, man. He's going through rookie pains. He's going to have several of these, but he went up against a great defense. So let's keep that in mind as well. He played on the road at Mile High, which is a tough stadium to play at. Pollard has 600% more rushing attempts than Dykey and Chestnut combined. Also leading yardage receiver with just 1 target. So you don't panic on Pollard. And then I'll just hop right over to the Broncos because I know we're kind of getting close on time. Amazing defense. They stepped up again and again and again in that game when they needed to. J.K. Dobbins is a trusted featured back, although it was Harvey that made the big play, and I think he's going to continue to make big plays. He had twice as many carries as anyone else. So look at J.K. Dobbins. Sutton, man, he's going to be so heavily involved. He's going to be an amazing wide receiver this year once again in this offense. So that's my thought on those 3. Not the best game for Bo Nix. Don't panic. He'll bounce back.
He'll be fine. We're monitoring a calf issue for Evan Engram. He looked okay before that, but we'll see what happens there. And I will say I have a ton of RJ Harvey. One thing I need to see from him moving forward is that we need him on pass downs, especially 2-minute drill. He did not play any of the 2-minute drill snaps.
No.
It was actually J.K. Dobbins that got 2 of them. Tyler Bidet got like 6 of them. So I need to see him carve out that role because our hope for him is to develop into like an Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara type guy like we've seen for Lombardi in the past. If you're not playing 2-minute drill, you can't be that guy. The way Eckler and Kamara get to 10 targets in a game is that you have that particular role and they say, hey, we're going to throw the ball 10 times right now in 4 minutes, right? And Kamara gets 3-4 targets in that stretch. If you're not getting that role, if RJ Harvey doesn't have that role, he's not going to get those targets. So that's what we're keeping an eye on for next week for that. So we're going to watch the injury for Engram, and then we're going to watch the usage for those running backs. And for now, Harvey's not must start. Dobbins is a guy that, I'm starting where I have him. Bengals at Browns here. Bengals, the wide receivers were as expected. Chase, Higgins, those are the guys. Andre Iosivas is out there. Didn't really do much. Tight end, the split was not great for either guy, really. Noah Fant actually played more and got more targets than Gesicki, but neither guy played more than half the game. Yeah, so I wouldn't run out and grab either one of these guys, but Fant played more than Gesicki. So to me, there's no reason to hold Gesicki. If you have Gesicki on your team, drop him, but I wouldn't necessarily add Fant. I would add Juwan Johnson, or I would add Harold Fannin maybe, right? But keep an eye on it. One of those wide receivers goes down. Now all of a sudden it's like, maybe Noah Fant is going to be a guy. Chase Brown was awesome. Samaje Perine did get the pass down work, but the one thing about the Bengals that I found in my usage report looking at last year, they more than any other team are willing to not use a running back at all on third down. What they do a lot of times is they just bring in Drew Sample and they just say, "Hey, you're gonna be like a move tight end or a fullback and just block for us."
Yeah.
So, like P Ryan doesn't get a boost there. It's just a little knock on Brown, but you're starting Brown every single week. Anything else to add on the Bengals? They're pretty straightforward over there.
Nah, yeah, they were held under what 150 yards or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Bengals coming out slow, dude. It's hail as old as time, but they're gonna be fine. On the Brown side, we saw again, Joe Flacco, he always does this. He just gets the ball out of his hands so quick that they end up throwing like 50 times. You can count on them to throw like 40, 50 times. The over-under for pass attempts was set at 37, and I think they had 48 or something like that, 48 drawback. So it was Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman. Those guys were the top dogs. Good to see that. And then Njoku ran more routes than Harold Fannin, but Harold Fannin got more targets. He looked really good. They're going to run a lot of two tight end sets. So for now, these guys are all potentially viable. I do worry, though, that in games, I worry about two things. In games where they don't throw a ton, which there will be some, then you're not going to get as much. The ball's going to be spread out a little more. Also, if this team continues to lose games, they're going to eventually bail over to the backup quarterback, right? So, and use the backup quarterback. So not great there. Dylan Sampson led. Jerome Ford got pass downs. They signed Quinshon Judkins on Saturday, so that could all get jumbled up anyway. Hey, what went down in your Packers game? Lions Packers. Lions. Yikes.
Yeah, just as I predicted, that was an easy victory. The Lions just looked disoriented. They had a complete lack of a running game. I'm looking at some of those stats real quick. Montgomery actually paced them with 11 attempts for 25 yards. Gibbs had 9 for 19 and had a long of 14. So you can see he had 8 attempts for 5 yards in the rest of his carries. Green Bay's probably underrated in that attempt, but the most targeted players in the passing game were Gibbs. He went 10 of 10. So their PPR league, you got completely salvaged, even though he only ended up with 31 yards. Laporta was next with 9 targets. The Packers really don't have what people would call elite cornerback. So that could be either telling about the Lions or the Packers pass rush and their defense. Gibbs had 50 yards on 20 touches, just absolutely they just destroyed him.
Brutal. Yeah, Montgomery also held to under 50 yards from scrimmage, which rarely happens for him. It has only happened 6 times in 32 games for Monty. So just Packers defense all over him.
Yeah, I think they're underrated, man. And it was, Michael Parsons barely played. I don't have the snap count, but I don't think he played 40% of the snaps. So Jordan Love was in MVP form, man. I don't know if you saw a couple of those passes. He was just absolutely spot on. He could have been Rodgers, could have been Favre back in the day. He should be owned in all leagues because he was going as like quarterback 17 or 18. So go take a look. Wide receiver snap count real quick. Dobbs 35, Golden 26, Wicks 22, Reed 21. Dobbs, led them in yards with just 2 receptions as well. Something to keep in mind. I've told everybody he's really wide receiver 1 for going on the 3rd season now. He had 68 yards. He got really close to another big catch as well. Jordan Love just really trusts Dobbs in situations when he needs a big play. So take a look at that. But Love looks amazing. He was hurt all last year. Do not sleep on this Packer team. Plus 850 to win the Super Bowl, my man. Coop.
Let's go. If they're spreading the ball around and the defense is good, and Parsons, he just got to learn. He's got to learn the scheme, and then he's just going to get ramped up and up. It's going to be better and better. I'm going to rapid fire 2 games right now because we're trying to get everybody out of here in a half hour. 49ers, Seahawks. 49ers. Christian McCaffrey looked great. George Kittle looked good, and then he got hurt. You're not going to pick up Jake Tonges, so don't worry about picking up his backup. But if you have George Kittle, we're waiting on information on a hamstring here, so not ideal. Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings were featured as the top 2 wide receivers as expected. So those guys should be startable until Brandon Ayuk gets back, and then we'll see how things shake out. But that is supposedly a while down the road, and Ayuk will probably be a part-time player during that period. On the Seahawks side, JSN and Kupp were full-time players. JSN got 13 targets, which is awesome. Torrey Horton only played part-time because they like using 2 tight end sets from time to time. A.J. Barner played more than Elijah Arroyo, which is not ideal because Barner is slow. He only got 2 targets. Arroyo only got 1. It's really just Kupp and JSN that you got to even worry about from this pass game because it's a run-heavy scheme. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet split way more than people thought. Walker missed the entire offseason with a new scheme. So course he's not going to be utilized a ton. He did play slightly more on early downs, but Charbonnet got almost 40%, more than 40% of the early downs, so he played a bunch too. And Sharp's got the third down in the goal line. So Zach Charbonnet looking really good. Kenneth Walker, a guy I have a ton of. He's on the back burner for now. I'm still going to start him because we don't know, maybe he's going to get ramped up and play a little more, but expect this to be split pretty much down the middle like it was, or even leaning toward Sharps because that's what we saw. Texans, Rams, Nick Chubb led. Dare Ogunbowale played on pass downs, but Nick Chubb, I mean, he's getting the full workload. Nico Collins is the top dog, and everyone else rotated a lot. The rookies did not play as much as we thought. Kind of makes me want to put Christian Kirk into an IR spot because maybe Kirk, when he gets back, can play a full-time role. Nobody else did, so it's really just Nico for me. The tight ends also rotated. 22 routes for Schultz, 12 for Cade Otton, but, I mean, that's basically a 50% route share even for Schultz, so not super excited there. It's really just like Nico and Chubb that are the guys you're worried about. On the Rams side, Devonta Adams and Puka Nacua played full time. Nacua would have played more snaps, but he cracked his head open. Right, like that was kind of crazy. Then Jordan Whittington and Tutu Atwell split. Not great for their value. We don't know what would happen, but Whittington played a bunch of rundowns, and then Atwell played more pass downs. So they don't trust Atwell as a run blocker. Simple as that. Tyler Higbee led the tight ends with 21 routes, but got no targets. Tyler Higbee's not a guy you were starting. And then Kyron Williams, full workload, right? When people were talking about Blake Corum and Jarquez Hunter, don't worry about with Sean McVay. Loaded up, locked and loaded. So Adams, Puka, and Kyron in your lineup every week. Don't worry about the rest of those guys. But let's talk about the final game, the big one, Iggy. Ravens, Bills.
Yeah, real quick, is the best game I can recall seeing in quite some time.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was an amazing game. Lamar moved the ball with great efficiency. He was simply amazing. Lamar and Henry accounted for 239 of the 238 rushing yards for the Ravens. Yes, I did say that correctly. Let that sink in. Zay Flowers, 46 snaps, 32 at the wide, 14 in the slot. One of my most drafted wide receivers over the past 2 seasons. He's going to be heavily featured in this offense. On the Bills side, Josh Allen, he's the man, dude. 424 total yards, makes things look easy. Got rushing touchdowns once again, starting off with his old tricks. He did get passing touchdowns as well. That leads me to Keon Coleman. He's much improved. He led the team in targets, receptions, and yards. If he's available in your league, go put a waiver in, put Fab in him, do what you got to do. And on the defensive side, Ed Oliver had a career game, forced that fumble, sacked Lamar on some big plays, had 6 tackles. Just simply amazing. They will need him all this season.
Yeah, I mean, that was here's the thing. This is what happens every year. These two teams beat each other up all year long, beat each other up in the playoffs, and then the Chiefs just kind of step over whoever's corpse they get to play. So I'm hoping this year it's somebody else that gets the bye week. One of these teams hopefully gets the bye week, and then maybe we get to see one of these guys play in the playoffs and the Super Bowl because, hey, you know what? Chiefs are great and all, but these teams are just so much fun to watch. Derrick Henry, right? Josh Allen, they're more fun to watch than the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's not taking anything away from the Chiefs. The Chiefs are too good for their own good. The good defense, good run game. Holmes, he's fun. He's fun in his own way. But I mean, just watching Derrick Henry run people over, there is nothing better. What a strong start to the week tonight. We got Vikings at Bears. We're gonna keep an eye on. See, Laney's excited. I'm not sure you hear my daughter going crazy back there, but we're excited to see tonight. Vikings, the backfield split from the between the running backs there. JJ McCarthy's debut. What are you looking to see from the Vikings?
Yeah, Brian Flores, man, he's such a great coordinator.
Good, dude.
Just destroy a new offense that's being implemented for the first time in real game.
Yeah. On the Bears side, Roshan, we want to see the split, see what DeAndre Swift is going to do. The tight end split, the target pecking order. A lot we're looking forward to, but hey, we went just over. We did pretty good. We're trying to shoot for a half hour every week, kind of just tell you guys everything that we saw, also some behind the scenes stats that you might have missed, man. So thank you guys for popping in. Iggy, thank you for joining me. And we'll see you guys 1 o'clock every day this week on this channel. So hit those likes, hit those subscribes, and we'll see you guys out here.